Hey, everybody, welcome to a new episode of Walk in Faith. I'm excited to be sitting down with Brent Dusing, the CEO and founder of the Christian entertainment company TruPlay. Brent, it's like I said, it's a pleasure to speak with you. And I just want to read the mission statement. I was really fascinated by, especially your website, but your mission statement says it's to transform generations of children in such a profound way that it will shape culture. At TruPlay, we're building a beautiful, fun world class entertainment platform which invites children into a world of hope and God's truth. And then on the bottom it said, we don't make Christian games merely because we can or because we want to. We make them because we need to. And you're right, Brent, we need to. When I sit with my son and I watch some of the innocent games that he's playing, and I see these ads that pop up, or I see, just other games that he didn't even intend to be a part of, I realize that we are in a spiritual battle. So I commend you, but tell me, in case people are not familiar with TruPlay, tell me a little bit about the company and how you got involved in this.
Yeah, so TruPlay is a platform with a very, very high quality entertainment options for you and your family. Everything we do, it's mostly video games, but there's video content, there's comics. Everything we do is done with a very high standard of quality, but every piece of content we make contains God's truth. We live in a world right now, unfortunately, where only 31% of children believe in God in America, compared to 60% of kids. That's a crisis, because that affects, if you don't understand who your creator is or who you are because of your creator, you're going to drift way off center. The anxiety, suicide, and depression rates are all-time highs for kids. The average kid's on a screen 52 and a half hours a week. They're only at church on average 30 minutes a week. So we're in this space where we've extracted God's truth out of everywhere in society. So look, there's a lot of neutral content, a lot of bubblegum, if you will. There's a lot of toxic content, right? There's a lot of poison. But before we launched TruPlay back in August, there was almost nothing that was great and fun and beautiful for you and your family, for your child, that they're actually going to enjoy and love, that's of the standard, of the quality and the excitement levels that they get from other games that are on the App Store.
I showed my son some of the games. I didn't say it was a Christian, site or anything. And I said, look, because a lot of the games that are on, or that I saw on the site, were games that I've seen in the secular world, just with a religious or a Christian, theme. And he was interested by it because it wasn't like I was pushing it on him. He recognized the quality. And like you said, the quality is really high. I mean, I've been in, faith-based entertainment, for over a decade, but to see the quality that you're putting out at TruPlay, honestly, I was impressed. I really was impressed. So I commend you. But you said a lot of things. I mean, first of all, the 31% that in the fact that people do not identify or believe in God's truth, I mean, it is constantly going up. The one thing, though, that I find fascinating about this generation, it's funny because we're probably the same age, and I'm talking about this generation like it's, we're so much older, but they're searching for something, right? They have all these characteristics and qualities that I think they're looking in the wrong place, they're searching in the wrong direction, and they're playing the wrong games. But I feel like they have the characteristics that will lead them to Christ, because they're searching for something. They have this love, and I think we just have to meet them where they are. And you're doing that. I mean, you're doing that through TruPlay.
Absolutely. Look, people are looking for the truth, and we live in the world right now that things are dark, with all the wars going on, and there's awful toxic content thrust on children. Anxiety, suicide, depression rates are all-time highs for our kids, the people that are most precious to us, right? And if you look at our scorecards as parents, now you talk about generations. You and I are the adults in the room now, right? And those listening, I'm sure your parents, your adults. Well, it's our job to steward our children. And if you look at how we're doing on a societal level, it's horrible, right? Because the answer is, well, we just spend more money on this and we give them more drugs. We're in no shortage of money or drugs in America. We're in a shortage for God's truth. We're in a shortage for people understanding who Jesus Christ is. We're in a shortage of understanding the Bible's true. We're in a shortage of understanding there is a real God who loves you and you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Mm-hmm. That's the shortage. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so there's a lot of people I'm meeting. For example, I live in Austin. I'm meeting a lot of people. They're moving here to Austin. They're not necessarily Christians, but things were so dark where they lived, and they're seeing so much real evil happening. They're realizing, okay, if there's all this evil, there must be good. There must be good out there. And so that's something that I think is innate to everyone to say, well, what is the truth? Now, people may let themselves be deceived, but this idea that's been talked about for a long time, there's a God-shaped hole in people's heart. There's a sense that people are wondering, what's my purpose? What's the meaning of life? Is there really truth? And where is it? And that's what TruPlay is doing is, hey, here is the truth. And it's already been figured out. We're not telling you anything new. It's all in the Bible. It's the God of the Bible. It's Jesus Christ, God in the flesh. But here's a way to deliver it to you and your family in a way your kids are going to love and enjoy, rather than feeling like they're drinking Robitussin. Robitussin is, I know this doesn't taste good, but you need to drink it. It'll help your cough. Unfortunately, a lot of Christian entertainment has been sold that way to kids.
Yes.
We sell chocolate cake with vitamins and protein and calcium, so the kid loves it, and it's healthier than the breakfast cereal that you were going to give your child. That's how we think about what we make at TruPlay.
No, that's a great point. And just to go back, when we talk about 51 and a half hours, right, screen time, and I guarantee there's adults that are even spending more time, but is there a direct correlation to depression, anxiety, suicide based on the amount of screen time, and based on some of the games? And I want to there's two that really, GTA, and you're probably familiar with that. And then there's another one, oh my God, how could I forget the name? Diablo. I mean, you look at these games, these aren't games, and I don't even know if the parents are even aware of the type of game that they're playing, and the interaction that's happening during these games. Even Roblox, there's so much, but tell me a little bit, is there a direct correlation to these games, violence, depression, and so forth and so on?
Here's a few correlative statistics. I mentioned it earlier. Anxiety, suicide, depression rates are all-time highs for kids. If you look at the charts of the trends of children on social media and anxiety, suicide, and depression rates, the charts are identically parallel charts. It's not about COVID, which is a narrative that gets pushed sometimes. No, it's because they're on screens, they're getting toxic content. Now, you want to talk about video games, Diablo, Grand Theft Auto, right? Shoot police, beat up prostitutes, sell drugs. So talk about school shootings. People often ask me, well, can video games really change people's lives? Well, there's a school shooting in Uvalde. It happened an hour and a half away from here last year. Sad story. Literally, the kid is playing an online violent first-person shooter game, loses, gets frustrated, and goes, okay, now I'm going to go shoot some kids. Now, were there other problems in the kid's life? Of course there were. Were violent video games a contributing factor? Yeah, they were. The Nashville shooting that happened at the Christian school. There was a game the shooter was playing prior to the shooting. So it's absolutely, the idea that life is cheap, the idea that violent, hyper violence is the answer. The idea that, again, sexual content pushed on small children, demonic content. I wish that people who made that kind of stuff, it's funny, if you go talk to somebody who's had a difficult, life, and you say, what happened? So many of the times, well, this happened to me when I was a child. I was mistreated. I was abused. This thing happened. Maybe they were exposed to something inappropriate at a young age. Fair enough. Okay. And I'm sorry that happened. I wish the people who made content realized that you have this megaphone that spreads out throughout the whole entire world. And there's all these people going to take repercussions negatively to the life if you're pushing toxic stuff. All this collateral damage. It's like you're throwing a bomb in a crowded theater. That's what they're basically doing. Well, I don't know. It's not my responsibility who plays it. Yes, it is, because you made it.
Yes, it is.
And there really are no parental controls. And so look, the way we see it at TruPlay is we can complain and we can be mad and we can write letters to the congressman, but we all know that writing letters to your congressman doesn't work. Here's what does work. Let's go build something that's beautiful, that inspires hope and joy. And if you go play TruPlay and you're an adult and you're listening, you might enjoy it too. We have a lot of parents enjoy playing it with their kids. We pour our hearts and our souls in the way we tell stories. And I'm happy to talk about some of our stories, some of our characters, but it's fun and it's engaging and it's funny and there's drama and there's this big epic story that's told over time. And it's about giving you something you're going to love and enjoy and be thrilled by, but that's going to woven inside the story is God's truth in your life, how to overcome problems in a healthy way, problems you didn't necessarily cause, it got thrust on you. How do what's God's plan for your life? What's your identity? Those kind of things, the foundational truths of the Bible, even certain Bible stories are woven into the narrative.
Yeah, like I said, I looked up some of the games, Oliver and the Vindictive Vine. You had one of my favorites it was Stained Glass. That. I mean, these games are, I don't play a lot of games, sorry, but if I was to play games, I did enjoy games like Stained Glass, but you're right. I mean, there's and just to go back for a second, when you think about like was it Rockstar and all these games that
Yeah.
2K. I mean,
Yeah.
I believe I truly believe that they have full intentions. They understand what they're doing. They know
Yes,
that
they
the
do.
games they're creating are whether it's bringing them further away from Christ. I really believe that there's a calculated effort. I'll call it Hollywood that is trying to remove God from society, trying to distract our children, trying to they want them to believe that they don't have a purpose, desensitize them. I mean, we see this throughout all facets of entertainment. And I would guarantee when you had this vision of TruPlay that it wasn't easy for you. I could imagine the enemy came and you had all these obstacles to overcome. But if you were creating games like GTA or violence, you would have no problem at all. And I would guarantee that you had that issue when you were trying to launch something that was to glorify God.
Well, you got to remember, greater is he that is in us that is in the world, right? Jesus says, what? Take heart because I've overcome the world. I've given you power and authority to trample on snakes and scorpions. And all that stuff's verbatim what Jesus said right out of the New Testament. So when God calls you to something, now, and if you're listening, you might be called to ministry. You might be called to helping kids. You might be called to teach. You might be called, but for us, myself, and not just me though, but we have dozens and dozens and dozens of people who work here that are world-class experts in their field, experts in technology and video game design and story writing and art and a lot of other things. QA, which is very important, quality assurance. Shout out to my QA team. You guys are awesome. That your expertise is used by God for a greater purpose. And so if God called you something, he's going to enable you to do it. Now, sure, there's opposition. Of course there is. But that's not the point, right? The point is, what has God called you to? And the point is also, who are you benefiting? It's children right now that are the victims, right? Only 31% of them believe in God. There's all this toxic content thrust upon them. We took a step back and we said, wow, who's standing up for kids in America? There's a lot of great organizations that serve kids in developing nations, kids in Africa and South America. And that's great. We need those organizations. They're wonderful. Compassion International, Samaritan's Purse, awesome. Who's serving kids in America at scale? The Board of Education isn't doing a great job. Mm-hmm. I mean, just being honest.
No, you're right.
And a lot of organizations we used to count on to serve our kids aren't really looking out for the best interest anymore. So our thought was, well, we got to go do that. And I'll tell you something interesting in terms of results. You're going to be the first person to hear this today on your podcast today. We found out yesterday that the average child who uses TruPlay, we are now more than doubling the amount of time they're normally exposed to God's word. So we looked at a lot of our data, and you take the average church-going family. I'm not talking about someone who doesn't go to church. Maybe if you're a church-going family, TruPlay is delivering more than double the amount of time they're being exposed to God's word, because everything we do, every piece of content in TruPlay, we're weaving in God's truth. And so for less than the cost of taking a friend to Starbucks in a month, you're more than doubling your child's learning and discipleship around, who God is. And by the way, doing it in a way that they love, because we're looking at our feedback from our game players, our kids and our parents and the statistics, and people love it. We're outperforming a lot of the stuff that's in the secular stuff in the App Store. Like it's not just doing well for a Christian thing; it's doing well on vis-a-vis any gaming platform. It's really we're just blown away by how well people like it.
Wow! Congratulations! Yeah. I mean, it's exciting. And when you introduce platforms like TruPlay to kids at such a young age, like even my son, he's 7.5. He goes to a Catholic school. He's into the Bible, but he recognizes sin. He recognizes certain things. It doesn't, whether it's if we watch a show and they say or do something inappropriate, he says it. He recognizes it because we're building this foundation of faith. So he won't play a GTA, not that we would even allow in our house, but parents, I think, also need to get a little bit more involved, because they're not, I don't know if they're monitoring what these kids are watching, but I mean, are video games or games in general or content, I mean, they're not going anywhere, right? I mean, this is not going to go back to when I was a kid, we would sit outside and play Manhunt. Like, this is where we are, right? So I mean, for parents that are out there, how could they get more involved with their children and find out what they're playing? Like, tell me about how a parent can get involved and step in.
Yeah. So look, I'm a parent, and most of the people who work here, yes, they're experts in their field, but they're also parents. So this TruPlay is a bunch of us who are saying, hey, we're parents. We got to do something. We live this same problem. If you're listening and you're concerned about the content, the toxic content your kid's getting, we're in your tribe. We started this to serve you. Why? Because we think parents make the best parents. We are coming alongside parents at TruPlay to say, hey, we're not blaming you. We're not finger pointing you. It's not your fault that you can download these very toxic games on your phone. It's the fault of the people who made those games and the fault of the platforms. It's not your fault. So here's what we're doing for you as a parent. We're going to give you something at TruPlay your kid's going to love and be excited about for a pretty reasonable price, by the way, but that's going to espouse your values. It's going to build these children's esteem. So let me give you a couple examples. Some of our games are based on the Bible. Stained glass, we talked about. It's a game where you collect these stained glass pieces form a window, and a character from the Bible tells you their story as the window comes to life. Eve describes what it was like to live in the Garden of Eden. Moses, Noah, right? What are their first person accounts like? We have a game coming out early next year, King David's Battles, where you get to play King David and fight all those fun things. Now we have a other universe where you'll see, if you go to the TruPlay website, these characters, a little bunny rabbit in a tiger suit and a skunk and a crocodile robot outfit. This is called the Rimverse. These children who, they're very much like real world kids. Maple, one of our stars, she's very headstrong, believes in God, but doesn't always pronounce her words correctly. Doesn't always care what other people's opinions are. There's also Lucas. His brother died a year ago. Ava, her parents are divorced and she's getting bullied. Oliver, you mentioned Oliver in the Vindictive Vines. Oliver's adopted. He has some questions. And he's not so sure about God. Okay, why would anybody pray? I can't see God. How does that work? So some of our kids, they're all on a journey. Some are very much believers. Some are not. They're not there yet. But there's also, they go on these adventures with, bad guys and, fantastic, exciting adventures and, laser beams and spaceships and sword fights and monsters. And so there's this epic tale woven through where they're the personalities of children like today, and they're living and they're growing, and God shows up for them, and the Bible is quoted, and the children will pray at times, and sometimes God even shows up and helps solve their problem, and sometimes in ways they expect, and in other ways they don't.
No. So what's next for you? Do you see yourself doing, I know you said you create content, but do you see yourself doing films or documentaries or anything else? Like, what's next for TruPlay?
Yeah, great question. So what I'll say is, in the near term, we've just released TruPlay, 2-3 months ago. The feedback's been awesome. We're growing and scaling. It's Christmas time, so we're just pushing the big Christmas promotion. In fact, we just released a series of videos. Actually, this is brand new news. You're the first person to hear this. Just yesterday, we turned on a series of prayer videos. So inside the TruPlay platform, it's one app. There's a bunch of games, but there's also videos. So the characters do these prayers in their own voice. It's very well done. I'm very happy with how it came out. And so we're doing more video content, more animations. We're also, our commitment to our subscribers is we're always building new content. So we just released new prayer videos. We have a brand new awesome game coming out called Benjamin and the Armor of Logos, where it's like Ephesians 6, the armor of God. So you, in this fun, fantastic battle game. We have other games coming out next month, and then in early next year, we'll have King David's Battle. So there's new stuff all the time. You're paying for a living, breathing service that's a subscription. There's new stuff for you all the time. And then we'll keep doing more stuff, more deeper games, multiplayer things. We have a whole lot more we're going to be doing over time, as our commitment is to deliver top-notch, world-class entertainment content for families that they love, but that every piece of content we do is going to have the foundation of God's truth.
I love it. And just one last question, just thinking out loud. How do you gauge success? Because it's hard when we're doing God's work. How do we know we're bringing people to Christ? How do you gauge your success within the company beyond subscriptions?
Sure. Well, our vision is, 31% of kids believe in God right now in America. What if we change that? What if we went from 40 to 50 to over half? You could see the whole society change. You could see the whole world probably change if kids knew who Jesus Christ was, if they knew the Bible was their guide stone, if they knew that God loved them and they had a purpose and their identity was who God made them to be. It would change everything. And so the way we measure success is lives changed. One of the statistics I just taught you, we're seeing now our kids, we're more than doubling the amount of time kids are exposed to God's word. And that's for church-going families. If you're listening, you might probably a church-going family. We can even more than double that for you. We're finding, of course, the number of people who play, the number of people. Sometimes we get people write to us and say, hey, I really wasn't a Christian. I became a Christian because I understood the Bible better. We had a previous company where we had 25,000 people make decisions for Christ. Wow. We partnered with the Billy Graham Association, but yeah. So those are all ways that, look, our job is to build something great. It's God's job to use it. And so that's really how we look at success here.
I love it. Well, Brent, tell us, how can we get more involved? How can we log on? Can you give us some information? Your website, just some information.
Yeah, absolutely. Please check it out at TruPlayGames.com. You can buy a subscription. You can download it on any of your mobile devices, phones, tablets, Android, iOS. We sell family plans, so it's a subscription just like you'd pay for a Netflix or a Disney Plus. You get it on all your devices for your family for one price. Everyone gets their own account, so you don't have to worry about somebody messing up your score or using all your stuff. And so just check out TruPlay either on the App Store or on Google Play, but go to our website and check it out. There's you can download the service. We also got great merchandise that people are starting to buy. So please come check it out.
I saw some of the beautiful T-shirts, but Brent, honestly, I advise people to log on to TruPlay and to just monitor what our kids are watching and doing, because even if they're playing a good game or a wholesome game on whatever platform, the ads that pop up, they're not always so wholesome. And we need to really monitor what our children are doing, and we need to increase that to beyond 31.5%, because, I mean, this is, I mean, there's no other option here. I mean, we really will. I don't want to see us lose this spiritual battle because we've come so far. So Brent, I really appreciate your time. And guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Walk in Faith. Always remember, you have the ability to inspire and evangelize through words and actions. God bless you.